Imagine this. She texts you, but it's cold, distant, and for a second your chest tightens. You feel that flicker of panic, the one that tells you she's slipping away. You've tried everything, charming texts, late-night calls, endless attention, but nothing seems to work. And yet, what if I told you there's one invisible thing that makes her chase you instead, that flips the entire dynamic in your favor, instantly activating a desire she can't resist, even if she's trying to hide it herself? Most men and women think attraction is about being flashy, buying gifts, or being available. But psychology tells a different story. Real desire isn't sparked by attention, it's sparked by absence, mystery, and self-respect. Here's the truth. When you chase, she pulls away. When you pull back, she leans in. Human nature is wired for challenge, curiosity, and emotional tension. Women aren't conscious of it, but their subconscious responds to signals of value and autonomy. You've probably seen it in your own life. That friend, that co-worker, or even an ex, someone who wasn't desperate for attention, who lived their life fully, suddenly becomes irresistible. She notices them. She texts first. She laughs harder at their jokes. And it's not magic. It's the psychology of desire. Here's the kicker. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding the deep triggers of female psychology, the patterns that make her heart race without her even realizing why. Desire is created through emotional tension, unpredictability, and your ability to stand apart. The moment you become too easy, too predictable, or too available, her brain subconsciously marks you as ordinary, and interest fades. Now, men, imagine the power of subtly shifting the dynamic. Stop over-texting. Stop trying to earn her attention constantly. Instead, focus on building your own life, your own ambitions, your own magnetic energy. The moment you do that, she will feel a subtle pull she cannot explain. Women are naturally drawn to confidence, independence, and purpose, the traits that scream, "I'm already a complete life." And here's the secret most people overlook. The one thing that makes women chase you is not a trick or a gimmick. It's your ability to create controlled absence with emotional impact. You learn to interact in a way that excites her, sparks curiosity, and makes her brain crave your presence. You create tension without conflict. You become the prize without arrogance. And psychology proves that this approach triggers the chemical cocktail in her brain. Dopamine, oxytocin, the subtle rush of anticipation that makes desire addictive. By the end of this video, you're going to understand not just how to attract her, but how to become the kind of person she subconsciously wants in her life again and again. And it starts with understanding the subtle language of female desire, the silent cues, the push and pull patterns that most people get completely wrong. So here's a question for you already. How often have you felt the panic of fading attention, wishing she'd chase you for once? Think about it, because what I'm about to reveal next will change everything. Here's something most men never realize. Women don't chase you for what you say. They chase you for what you embody. It's not your compliments, not your gifts, not even your charm. It's the silent signals you send that tell her this man has his own life. He's not waiting for anyone's approval. He's a prize worth earning. And the truth? That is more powerful than anything flashy or manipulative you could ever do. Desire is subconscious. Women are wired to notice patterns, energy, and status. But it's not just career or money. It's emotional status, self-mastery, and the ability to command your own life. The man who is grounded, who doesn't overreact to her moods, who laughs at the tension instead of fearing it, he triggers something primal. She feels drawn, curious, intrigued, and a little addicted to the emotional ride he creates without even trying. Most men fail because they focus on quantity of attention. They think constant texts, constant validation, constant availability will make her chase them. The reality? She loses interest faster. Human psychology craves tension and challenge. Too much attention removes tension, removes challenge, and removes desire. Think about the women you've noticed, the ones who suddenly became captivating. They didn't chase, they drew. And the men they wanted? Those who were patient, consistent in their own life, and unavailable in just the right way. This isn't about ignoring her or playing games for ego. It's about understanding emotional economics. Every interaction you have carries value. When you give too much too soon, the perceived value drops. When you give just enough, unpredictably, you create emotional scarcity, and scarcity drives desire. Women chase the man who feels just out of reach, but not unattainable. He is balanced, strong, and fully engaged in his own world. Here's a practical example. The man who texts once a day with meaningful energy, who laughs at her jokes but doesn't bend over backward to impress, who follows his own passions. Suddenly she's thinking about him constantly. She's checking her phone, imagining scenarios, wondering what he's doing. Her mind fills with desire because you are not desperate. You've become an emotional anchor she can't ignore. And here's the psychological truth many people miss. Desire is more than attraction, it's a chemical reaction. When you embody independence, confidence, and mystery, her brain releases dopamine and oxytocin. She experiences excitement, anticipation, and a subtle sense of reward. This is why women often act drawn to men they barely know, but feel inexplicably intrigued by. The chemistry is not random. It's triggered by perceived value, autonomy, and subtle emotional tension. The most powerful men understand this instinctively. They know when to lean in, when to pull back, and when to allow the mystery to build. They don't chase, they lead through presence and absence. And once you internalize this, the dynamics shift completely. She's not just interested, she's emotionally invested in following you, even before she realizes why. Ask yourself this: how often do you give too much and get too little in return? How often do you let tension die because you're afraid of losing attention? The next step will teach you exactly how to master this tension, how to speak her subconscious language, and how to make desire chase you naturally, without games or manipulation. Now let's get real. Attraction isn't a magic trick. It's a series of subtle moves, almost invisible, that make her brain light up without her even realizing it. It's the way you move through your own life that triggers desire. Most men focus on talking her into liking them. The truth? She's already hardwired to chase, but only if you know how to activate her subconscious pull. And that pull comes from one source: emotional tension balanced with irresistible presence. Think about it. Have you noticed how the most desirable men are calm, confident, and unpredictable in just the right way? They don't overshare, they don't beg for validation, and they don't make their availability obvious. And yet women are drawn to them like moths to a flame. That's not coincidence, that's psychology. By creating controlled absence and emotional unpredictability, you engage her brain's reward system. She gets little doses of excitement, curiosity, and anticipation, dopamine spikes that make her think about you even when you're not around. It's not about manipulation, it's about self-mastery. When you are fully present in your life, pursuing your passions, building yourself, and having standards, women notice. They sense the energy that says, "I am complete on my own, but you could be part of this life if you earn it." That subtle, unspoken message is more attractive than any compliment, gift, or gesture. And here's the kicker. It works on women across the spectrum, from casual dating to long-term relationships. Let's break down what that looks like in practice. You don't text excessively. You don't respond instantly to every message. You maintain your lifestyle, hobbies, and social circle. You invest in your physical, mental, and emotional growth. And when you engage with her, it's high-quality interaction. Funny, confident, emotionally engaging, and slightly unpredictable. You create moments that make her heart race without ever forcing it. You are the spark, the challenge, the prize, and the emotional high rolled into one. Another critical factor is emotional contrast. Women are drawn to men who make them feel alive. That doesn't mean drama, it means energy. Sometimes you're playful, teasing, mysterious. Other times you're calm, grounded, unshakable. That contrast keeps her brain in a state of anticipation, making her crave your presence. Every interaction becomes an emotional roller coaster she wants to ride again and again. And here's the psychological truth most men never grasp. She doesn't chase you for your attention. She chases the feeling you create, the thrill, the curiosity, the anticipation, and the sense that being with you is a reward, not a default. When you master this, you shift the entire dynamic. She's thinking about you, imagining scenarios, texting first, planning interactions, all because of the energy you embody, not the words you say. Ask yourself this: are you giving too much, too early, too predictable, or are you creating the kind of presence that makes her brain chase the emotional high only you can provide? Think about that, because the final piece is what transforms curiosity into long-term desire, the secret that keeps her chasing you forever. Here's the ultimate truth most people never tell you. There's one thing above all that makes a woman chase you, not just for days or weeks, but consistently, almost instinctively. It's not your charm, it's not gifts, it's not endless attention. It's the ability to trigger desire through controlled absence while maintaining undeniable presence. That's it. The rest is just noise. Once you understand this, everything changes. Think about it. Women crave mystery, autonomy, and emotional challenge. They want a partner who is fully alive in his own world, yet leaves space for connection, excitement, and intimacy. When you give her everything too soon, too much attention, predictability, and emotional availability, you remove tension. Desire fades. But when you balance presence and absence, unpredictability and stability, you activate her subconscious drive to chase. You make her brain release dopamine with anticipation, oxytocin with connection, and subtle adrenaline with the excitement of uncertainty. The most magnetic men master this effortlessly. They live their life fully, pursue their ambitions, maintain friendships, and build themselves in ways that make them inherently valuable. Yet when they engage with a woman they care about, it's intentional, high energy, and emotionally impactful. Every interaction creates a spark, a thrill, a pull that she subconsciously cannot resist. She starts imagining your life together, wondering what you're doing when you're not around, and feeling drawn in by the energy you radiate rather than words you speak. Here's the psychological hack most men overlook. It's not about scarcity for the sake of manipulation. It's about self-respect, confidence, and personal growth. When you're already a complete person, your presence is naturally magnetic. Women chase what they perceive as high-value energy. They chase men who make them feel alive, curious, and wanted. Not men who are desperate for validation. Desire is a feeling, not a transaction. The man who understands this becomes unforgettable. Start small. Pull back from excessive texting. Create space in your interactions. Focus on building your life, your body, your mind, your skills. When she sees you thriving independently, she feels the pull. When she experiences the contrast of your presence and absence, her subconscious decides, I need to be part of this energy. This is why the pull becomes relentless. She texts first, plans to meet, and finds herself invested emotionally without realizing why. Remember, this is subtle. It's not arrogance, it's mastery. It's about being fully engaged with life, confident in your worth, and intentionally creating interactions that spark curiosity and desire. You are the prize because you've built yourself into someone worth chasing, and the psychology behind it ensures she can't resist following that energy. So here's the question for you. How often do you feel like you're giving too much and getting too little in return? Could you start creating tension, presence, and curiosity in your interactions today? Write your answer in the comments. If this video helped you understand the invisible laws of desire, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Because the truth about attraction isn't obvious, but it's powerful, and now it's in your hands.